the government to kind of talk to what is in place at the ministry. And well, without getting into her presentation, I asked Dr. Moniffia Hewling to talk to us about the cyber crimes and cybersecurity content that she is in charge of.
Hi, good afternoon. I like presenting after Warren because it means that he's the one you're scared of and not me. I am that person there, Moniffia Hewling. I am from the Ministry of Science, Energy and Technology, the Cyber Incident Response Team, that division. So we work a lot with the Communications, Forensics and Cybercrimes Unit, the one that Warren is from. I think like 3 or 4 slides overlap, so I'll skip them as I go through. But just a point that nearly half of all cyber attacks are committed against small businesses. That's what the research is showing. So it is predicted that a business will fall victim to a ransomware attack every 14 seconds. But not to scare you any further, you get the picture of what is happening in the society. Now all activities are moving online. Businesses, education, social, and as you would have imagined, the criminals will not be left out. They need to be a part of it. Why? Some of the same reasons you go online and do some of the things that you do, it's the same reasons why they go online too. There's a perceived anonymity. They don't figure that Warren can find them if they do something wrong. And they're sadly mistaken, but this is one of the reasons why especially the youth go online to commit certain things. Cross-border. Cybercrimes have no border, so the fact that you are attacked here doesn't mean the attacker is here. So that in itself is a challenge for law enforcement, and it's one of the reasons why criminals online, their psychology is slightly different. There's the use of virtual currencies, where they can carry out their transactions online, seemingly under the cloud of anonymity. And face it, we're living in an age where young people just really don't want to use a lot of energy. And so therefore, their type of crimes will involve less energy. They're not into firing guns and jumping over a wall and running from police and all that. They want to stay in their beds and get all they can done, include criminal activity. So that is just it. And they tend to have a lot of time on their hands. You would have heard of some recent attacks, some not so recent, but they were found out recently. Because that is what you find with cyber attacks. It usually takes a while for you to realize that it's not a if, it's when it happened. And so we had the Marriott hotels, which affected 500 million. That's a lot of people. That's a big number. And so that's a lot of data out there. We have to bear in mind also that we are living in an era where data is king, which is why everything is going data. So that's why we're having Data Protection Act, the GDPR, all of that, because data has become very valuable. Cambridge Analytica, it affected 87 million people. Note though that only 270,000 Facebook users had actually used the app, but because of the policies of sharing data online, it affected more persons. It is the era. Cybercrime activity. Sir Williams spoke to that. And he spoke to some of the things that we are seeing in our own environment. What I find a lot of times is people think we're talking about things happening at foreign. It's not only happening overseas now, it's happening here. We're seeing the ransomwares, we're seeing the spoofed emails that he spoke to. And that also is quite a challenge for us in government too, because a lot of our CEOs or a lot of heads of agencies, their emails have been spoofed and sent to select persons. We have one which they had not mentioned, is what we call the snooper email, which seems to be a recent trend that you need to be aware of, where it comes in purporting to know your password, which they probably do, but not necessarily because they would have compromised your computer, but because your data may have been dumped online or somewhere, so they get that. And they email you to say that they have your password and they have been observing you, and depending on who you are, they see you watching this, they see you doing this, they would have turned on your camera, and basically they try to get you to pay money to Bitcoin wallets because you don't want them to release this information. The challenge I have is that a lot of persons have been paying money to these Bitcoin wallets. So it makes me wonder some of the things that you actually do. Challenges that we're looking forward to, and I say that you have to understand as hackers we sound excited about certain things that are not really good, but we're looking forward to the challenge of the Internet of Things that is going to pose a challenge for us, especially those investigating cybercrimes. Social engineering, which the scammers use, and those phishing emails that you're getting are a form of social engineering. It is being said that 99% of the hacking is done by fooling you, not necessarily the servers. Because when they fool you, they're able to get into the servers. And then we have the challenge of homegrown malware. And you will just stop and think for a moment, why would that be such a challenge? Because if you know how these antivirus works, when they go out and get the signatures, if it's homegrown, it won't necessarily get to the antivirus vendor. So it presents a challenge for persons who are investigating the crime. Sorry. Not sure what happened there. My head just went. Now from a government standpoint, and I meant to say that the template that is being used for my presentation is not owned by me, it's owned by Trevor Forrest. He is a friend. So if you see him and he comments on it, please just tell him that I did do my disclaimer. Now, as our national cybersecurity framework, it dictates we try to, and Warren would have alluded to it, predict, to prevent, to detect, and to respond. We must be able to do these four things. We find that traditionally for cybercrimes, predict and prevent were not really included. But now we're realizing, and research is showing, that the best way to really attack cyber incidents or crimes or the cyber criminals is to be proactive. So predicting and preventing has become quite important. Why do we need governance? We need to have policies in place to ensure compliance. So it's no use we have a cybercrimes unit trained in all the forensics and what to do, but there is no governance there to guide them. We must be able to hold persons accountable, which would cover our laws. We must be able to deal with issues that are not necessarily criminal, but administrative, which is where a unit like mine, so I tell people, no, I'm not the police, but to investigate cyber crimes. No, not really. We respond to the incidents. If we realize it's a crime, we elevate it. So there must be a regulatory framework in place, and the government would have realized that several years ago, well, not several, about 4 or 5, and the National Cybersecurity Strategy was developed in 2015. How much is that? 4? Okay. How many persons in here have ever heard of the National Cybersecurity Strategy? Oh, we have a few hands. So we have a strategy with an implementation plan. The smart thing about the strategy, it comes with an implementation plan, and a deliverable from that strategy was the Cyber Incident Response Team. So what the government people did, they just put the Cyber Incident Response Team as the first deliverable from the strategy and give them the rest of the strategy too, which is pretty smart. So we're looking at data protection, end user policies, and there is a cyber crimes legislation. Anyone ever heard of that one? Cyber Crimes Act 2015? Of course, naturally you would know. I would hope so. But we have a Cyber Crimes Act which is due reviewing sometime this year. Yes, it would have been the second review. So it's due, but I'm not supposed to say that. That will be attributed to Georgia. Now, our national cybersecurity architecture it has four main pillars: technical measures, human resource and capacity building, legal and regulatory, and public education and awareness. Discussion from what we have a team of people called the National Cybersecurity Task Force, and they sat down and figured these were the important pillars for us here in Jamaica, and so that's how our strategy is arranged. The technical measures are there to ensure resiliency of network infrastructure and critical infrastructure system, because the network infrastructure is critical to protect. Looking at a risk-based approach, best practices, response plans, and to boost forensics and investigative capabilities, and to leverage regional and international partnerships. Again, that is necessarily because of the cross-border issues. In terms of human resource and capacity building continued, we're looking at establishing and sustain a pool of trained professionals organized, because we find a lot of persons have different training that are offered online: CHFI, CEH, Certified Ethical Hacker, Forensic Investigator. So people go out and do these trainings. So we're looking to pull everyone into a pool, not necessarily to monitor you. We're looking to update the curriculum in the different educational institutions to ensure that some level of cybersecurity is included, to promote local research and development, careers in cybersecurity. I find even though it's a buzzword, people, the moment they realize the amount of work involved, they tend to pull back, but it's worth going after. And we are looking to position Jamaica as a regional leader in cybersecurity. We are currently, and we want to maintain that. Legal and regulatory, to establish a robust governance framework to support the cybersecurity landscape, create and maintain effective legal framework, and that is where we have the two main laws, bills, regulations, whatever you call those things. To support that is the Cyber Crimes Act and the Data Protection Bill. And I try to ensure I get those two words, the Act and the Bill, right. The Data Protection Bill is currently being debated somewhere to be made into the Act law part. Judge and opinion, any man on that one. Public education and awareness. This is a critical part because research has shown that the biggest problem in security is the human factor. So we buy all the firewalls, we set up all these physical infrastructure, and all it takes is for one user. All it takes is for you to click on something that you're not supposed to click on, and everything comes falling down. And so public education and awareness is quite critical, and we have a public education and awareness campaign going on. We go to conferences, we go to schools, we go to churches. If 5 people gather in a room and call us, we go and we give a cybersecurity awareness presentation. We're trying to do what we call develop a culture of cybersecurity, which is mainly just awareness, where people will consider things. So you get an email with a link, you stop and think about it before you actually click it. You check for your HTTPS, even though that is just like putting a major lock, a little lock on the door, but it is something that you do. So we want that culture, that thing to be embedded within you, that people will just think about certain things, know that it's the era that we're living in, and just be more aware. So we have Cybersecurity Awareness Month in October, and the awareness day is usually around that time of the year. We also have Safer Internet Day, Data Privacy Day, and there are a lot of international days that we try to observe also here in Jamaica, because we're not immune from cyber incidents, and we must be a part of that global infrastructure with cybersecurity, because again, it has no borders. We have looked to create public and private partnerships, and I must say one of our sponsors for this cybersecurity awareness campaign is tTech. And so we were grateful for that. It's a good partnership, so we're able to reach more people this October with the help of other private sector companies and tTech, and we even had roadshows and lots of stuff. We're looking to make it bigger and better this year, and so we'll be starting the planning in May, just so you know, Gillian and company. We have started introducing cybersecurity awareness in schools. We had partnered with another company to go into schools where we had roadshows. Warren and I were on that, where we focused on social media because that age group, and that is a whole different presentation in itself, what happens with social media. And we have some competitions. We had a jingle competition. We're looking to have some more. One of the key ways, though, to deal with this cybersecurity issues that we're facing is collaboration. We cannot deal or address cybersecurity issues in isolation. It's not just a government problem. It's not a techie problem. It's not a problem for the guys that set up your computer. It's a problem for everyone, the CEOs, the senior managers, the government, the man walking on the street, the person down in some remote area of Jamaica that has a cell phone that he or she got from overseas that comes with all the apps on it. It's all of our concerns. It affects all of us, and we really need to work together to address this. Thank you. I hope I have nothing else.
Thank you very, very, very much, Dr. Hewling.